Welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Calimesa Council, Monday, December 2nd, 2024. It's now 6 p.m. And it's the audience, looks like we've got all the speaker slips we're going to get. You want to give us the roll call, please?
Sure.
Councilmember Cervantes.
Here.
Councilmember Manley.
Here.
Councilmember Molina.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hewitt.
Here.
Mayor Davis.
I'm here. Then we've got City Manager Cobo, at least for right now. City Attorney Barrow, City Clerk Gertis. Yeah, you go ahead. I got to get my last kick
He
in.
can say whatever the heck he wants to say tonight.
Finance Director Reed, Planning Director Lucia, Interim Public Works Director Sakara? Sakara? Oh, I'm sorry. City Manager Thornton, Fire Chief O'Connell, and Sheriff Captain Northrup. Mike, you want to lead us in the pledge, please? Communications from the public. We've got Elizabeth Bishop.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to follow up on a question I had asked a couple of months ago in regard to Calamesa's water, whether or not we've had any recent water reports and the quality of the water, and what may have been determined since that question was asked.
I can address that real quick if you like. I did contact South Mesa Water Company, and remind me, Darlene, did we hear back from Mr. Armstrong on that? I thought we had reached out to, so we reached out like the next day and to try to address your concerns on that. We didn't hear anything back, but there hasn't been any reports of any water quality from the main meter into the park. So if there's water quality issues to the extent that it's within the park, it could be piping within the park, not if it wouldn't. I don't know where South Mesa's responsibility ends and the park owner's begins in terms of water distribution to the individual lots within the park. So that's something we'd have to look into to determine. But as far as what we've been told, there hasn't been any water quality issues for South Mesa itself. So that's what we have on that. But we can verify once again with them whether where their service responsibility ends and where the park owner's responsibility begins for you, and we can let you know.
Okay, following on that, what is the park owner's responsibility?
That I'm not sure of, and that may fall under HCD's realm of responsibility. Mm-hmm. So it'd be through Housing and Urban Development, or through Community Development, HCD, for follow up on that, because we can only regulate certain things within mobile home parks. To the extent there's a water quality issue that's causing issues for the park, the people that live in the park, that would be under the purview of HCD.
Okay, and if I may, one other question. I know you did a walkthrough in our park with the owners some time ago.
Yes.
To address the runoff issue and water backing up and what have you.
Yes.
May I ask what the result of that was? Because the park owner is basically stating that there's no problem. I mean, when it seriously rains and everything starts backing up and flooding into people's yards, he's saying that's not his problem.
Yeah, to the extent that there is a problem with the runoff. So we have a project within our capital projects program to redirect the water flow that's coming in from the street. So we can take responsibility to, we're taking steps to ensure that water that is coming off the street and going through the park so that it can reach Calimesa Creek continues down California Street. That is our plan of attack at this point, and then capture the water down closer to Avenue L. So we still have some more study we have to do on that, but there is a project to address that issue. To the extent that it's water on the park side, again, that becomes under the park owner's responsibility. So if he's not addressing that properly, obviously it's something that he has to address. And I know there's been challenges there, to say the least.
And that's something I would address as far as MRL or HCD.
Yes, that's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you, you live in the Californian? Yes, I do. Okay, because that's a problem that he's been having for a while.
Yeah, but he won't acknowledge it. It's because of, as some of you are aware, because of the runoff issue when we had that epic rain in February. Drainage from the regular lines, the sewer lines and whatnot, all of that water saturated the ground. And somehow it backed up the sewer lines. I mean, it flooded my house with sewage.
Well, you got your answers, so
Yeah,
now you know which direction to head.
yeah, but he's.
We're pretty much limited to a lot of things we can do within a mobile home park,
Yeah.
other than we can control the water off the street. So,
So city council has no influence on the park owner in any means regarding
No.
the tenancy or?
no, the state is right there on top of them, I'm sorry. Yeah. Donna?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Donna Johnson here, I'm sure you know that. I want to ask about the signs for the open spaces. In 2006 or 2007, those signs were made, and I want to know if you know where they are, and Councilman Member Cervantes did not stop off, say that he would be happy to put an open space sign up.
I guess I think the clarifying, I'm number one, I need to know where, I don't know where we're talking about. There's a lot of different open spaces, so I'm not sure.
But there are signs for them. That's what I was told. There are signs for those open spaces. But I don't know where they are, and I don't know if you know where they are. And I was told that they were made in 2006 or 2007. And Sapaf did say that he would be willing to have a sign there where he is. And he spoke with you, yeah.
I honestly don't recall ever having anything to do with signs for open space. And I was around the council then. But I could be wrong. It's not, I have a hard time remembering my name once in a while.
Well, you know who I'm referring to. You know who knows about those signs. And, but she doesn't know where they are now.
I think, I can't reply to that, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We can look into it.
Look,
but,
yeah, try to find the signs so that they maybe could go up.
I don't know what, I really thought about that after that question was asked previously. And I don't know what good open space, it's like, I can show you where they had scenic drive signs, that it was a dump right there, you know, and so it just, you know, a lot of people think my place is open space, and it ain't.
I realize that, but I just think if we have open spaces and we have open space signs, we should use them.
If we can find them.
I mean, Jeff Cervantes could ask RCA and see if we could get some signs, because he's on that committee.
Okay.
But I know that up that old Singleton Road, they have posted that RCA has acquired that property and it's all fenced off. So that's one that you know is there. I don't know where the other ones are.
Well,
but-
Kale Canyon is one of them, isn't it?
Right, right.
There is signage there, okay. Yeah,
Those I've seen, yes, yeah.
okay.
So they're not like huge, but they do have a sign there that says that RCA has acquired this land.
Right.
This is for conservation.
Right.
such
And I
on.
think
The
in
neat
most
thing
most
about
places,
Open space is, it doesn't say you can walk on it.
No, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no.
and that's actually a
No.
good point. That's exactly
Yeah.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some of them, I think, where they have signs, I think it's supposedly it is partially to address trespassing. They're basically saying this is an environmentally sensitive area.
For
Do
the
not enter it.
animals,
Yeah,
right,
exactly. Okay.
exactly, yes, yes.
So that's kind of what you're looking
Yes,
for. Gotcha.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that makes sense. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Approval of the agenda, consent calendar, and waiver of all full reading of ordinances.
I'll move that we approve the agenda and consent calendar.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And anybody want to go against it? Hearing none. That was 5-0. Okay. I'm sorry, Captain. Sheriff, Captain, report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Hope everybody had a great and safe holiday weekend. Just going to go over some Part 1 crimes for November 2024. We had 4 aggravated assaults, 1 burglary, 4 auto thefts, and 9 thefts. Year-to-date, Part 1 crimes are down 22% from 305 last year to 238 this year. Some traffic-related stats. For November, we had 11 traffic citations, 18 parking citations, 0 DUI arrests, 11 non-injury traffic collisions, 1 injury traffic collision, and 1 hit-and-run investigation. With the Office of Traffic Safety awarded $13,253 grant to the Riverside Sheriff's Office for traffic enforcement programs within the city of Cali Mesa. The grant program is going to run through September 2025, provides funding for additional programs and resources to include DUI checkpoints, DUI enforcement, high visibility distracted driving enforcement, as well as enforcement operations focused on top violations such as speeding, failure to yield, stop signs, and red light violations. That's all I have to report. Any questions?
Any questions? You're off the hook.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fire Chief report.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. I'll start off with some numbers tonight. Our total responses year-to-date were 1,856, up 15.49% as opposed to the same time last year being 1,607 calls for service. 1,232 of those are medical aids, 319 public assist. When we add those together, we're at 83.4% for those public medical aid types of assistance calls, trending just right where we always have been. 90% of our calls are usually medical related. Fire responses year to date, a total of 67 for 3.6% of our calls. 209 calls for mutual aid responses given year to date, most of those to the city of Yucaipa. For 119 actual calls, we were canceled 90 out of the 209, so we're responding, looking right around half. And that's 11.2% of our total call volume. Our auto or mutual aid received a total of 29 calls year to date for 1.5% of our calls. I think that's still a pretty outstanding number comparatively. And our average response time is right around 6.8 or 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Notable incidents during this reporting period. I'm sure you, folks saw this weekend. We had a vegetation fire out in the Woodhouse area. Singleton and Woodhouse was just under 2 acres. as a result of a vehicle fire that was a total loss. And I don't have the details on the vehicle, why it was out there. I'm waiting for some report back on that. But if you remember a few weeks prior, we had about a 3-acre fire, and that fire's still under investigation. This weekend, we responded to assist the city of Yucaipa in the Oak Mesa area of their city with a large 3-alarm residential mega house fire. And pending any of your questions, that's the end of my report this evening.
I just wanted to say thank you again. You guys were out there real quick. I mean, we were in Hemet, and we always get phone calls. Oh, there's a fire by your house. And so we were trying to get back from Hemet, and by the time we got back, you guys had it pretty much out. So that was good. I was happy about that.
So thank you for that, and I'm going to name drop tonight specifically Battalion Chief Shaw with C Shift. Captain Matt Vega and his crew got out there, and our guys had it wrapped about 80% by the time the Riverside County Cal Fire response got on scene, and it was just a matter of cleaning up. Very proud of the crews. They're doing an outstanding job. Couldn't be happier to have the privilege of leading them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that what was going on late Sunday afternoon?
Yes. Yeah.
I thought the world was coming up with all the ambulances and the fire engines and listening to the sirens.
Yeah. We had here we are in December, and it was a high state fire response.
Yeah.
We had about 10 engines, a couple of hand crews, 2 dozers.
Oh, I believe it.
Full aircraft order, and
And a tractor.
yeah.
Wasn't the tractor out there? I
Yeah.
saw that.
And looking at, there's some drone footage that got posted on Facebook that one of our firefighters showed me. It had pretty active flame links for this late in the season. So, got to be careful.
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And thanks, boys. Okay. Now we move on to business. It'll be item number 13 is to consider the adoption of resolution of number 2024-63, approving the amendment number 2 to the city manager's employment agreement.
Yes, Mayor, I'll handle that staff report. As stated in the written agenda report, after a performance evaluation of the city manager, the city council directed me to draft amendment number 2 to provide some additional benefits to the city manager that will be articulated by the mayor, and also to extend the term of the contract to November 27th, 2027. So at this time, the mayor, pursuant to state law, the mayor will read the benefits.
Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, if approved, the amendment will provide 3% cost of living adjustments each year over the next 2 years. Increase the city's contribution to the city manager's health insurance and extend the term of agreement until November 27th of 2027. Now, is there anybody, you got any questions or?
No, sir.
Okay. Let's make a motion.
I'll move to approve resolution number 2024-63, approving amendment number 2 to city manager's employment agreement to extend the term for 2 years, provide cost of living adjustments, and increase the city's contribution to health insurance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 5-0, and that means that you can take the wife out to dinner sometime now. Okay. Item number 14, I think this goes to the chief.
Mayor, I'm going to call up Deputy Fire Marshal Jerry Rodriguez to present this staff report.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Jerry Rodriguez, Deputy Fire Marshal, City of Calamasa. give me just a second to get my documents together. On the agenda, we have two ordinance up for recommendation of for first reading for adoption. First ordinance, number 609, is amendment to our existing municipal code dealing with fireworks. Specifically, what we have changed from the existing fireworks was revamping the definition of fireworks. Previous municipal code was literally verbatim of the health and safety code related to fireworks within the state of California. A very long definition where we were able to transition it to the California Fire Code's definition of fireworks, which is basically the same, just a lot shorter version of it. In addition to that, outlining still fireworks will be illegal in the city of Calamasa, just as it was prior. Gives the authority for law enforcement and fire department representatives to issue citations if needed or warranted, and also for seizures and disposal of fireworks. That was the main part of that. Second ordinance was ordinance 407. This is the amendment of the 2002 edition of the California Fire Code, commonly known as the Calamasa Fire Code. This was adopted back a couple of years ago. And what we're amending in this section is what we're calling outdoor burning on it, and we're just getting a little bit more detailed in it. So in the fire code, basic covers very vague sections of the type of burning: agricultural, recreational, bonfires. There was a concern that was brought to my attention wanting more details addressing on open pit cooking, barbecues, and also a little bit more definition on recreational and portable fireplace burning. Some of so our amendments, we changed on it very closely to the California Fire Code, with the addition of adding barbecues, fire pits, recreational fires, defining on what's the criteria for it. Also giving us the ability, the fire department, the authority to order the extinguishment of these fires if based on the weather conditions or local circumstances. It also gives us the authority, if warranted, issue citations for people that are not compliant with our requests. The biggest thing you're going to see on there, what differs in the fire code, is our setbacks for our fires. So, agricultural burning was 50 feet away, in addition to, let's pull this up too, barbecue grills and barbecue pits was not defined in the California Fire Code. Based on doing the research on it, I opted to implement a 50-foot setback from any structures for fire safety. Bonfire stays the same at 50 feet from any structures, and recreational fires at 25 feet. One thing I forgot to mention is there was another fire which we did was residential burning. And residential burning was just the burning of clean vegetation such as trees, yards, trimming, and rubbish on residential private property. That is not prohibited within the city of Calamasa. And essentially that was it with that. With the enforcement coming in, again, possible citations and our authority to order the extinguishment of fires based on the circumstances. With that, in the report there are in there what is the cost occurring to it. Just with any enforcement of our municipal codes or our regulations within the city, there is a cost usually associated with it. May be recovered if there's violations or offset by violations and penalties given. With that, that's the end of my report, and I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Jerry. Any questions?
Mayor, if I could weigh in on a couple of things, I want to clean some things up. Jerry, great job. So we took a look at these two chapters in our municipal code to allow for an enforcement piece. I can see the concern regarding residential enforcement and what that looks like. So to kind of confirm some of those issues, what we're looking at is, number one, an enforcement piece to where now that we have the ability to recover funds through our fee schedule and issue permits, we have the enforcement piece that ties up our existing municipal code with the current language so that we can issue permits and make sure that those recreational fires, deep pit barbecues, bonfires, etc., are compliant and safe within our residential communities. We realize there's ranch-style homes and the demographics in our city support that type of activity. Number one is looking at that piece to clean that up. Number two, going back to the public safety workshop that we discussed and the recent municipal code sections where we have illegal fires in open lots, in our open space area, and in some of the canyons and drainages. It gives us the enforcement piece to work with law enforcement to be able to, number one, extinguish illegal fires, fires that are unreasonable and unsafe to the community. So the intent behind cleaning up the language in both of those code chapters, muni code chapters, is the intent behind what we bring before you tonight.
And I have one more clarification. On page 262 of your agenda packet, near the bottom, where it talks about the setback requirements, I believe, and Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, the word 15 is there, but then 50 is in parentheses. I believe that is supposed to be 15, correct? For barbecues?
No, barbecue was 50. That is a misprint. Should be 50 feet.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and I see the question there.
Yeah.
And I believe it should be 15 in a residential, but I think if we get into the deep pit barbecue and those types of bonfires, I think there's some question there. We're going to have to clarify that.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Deputy Fire Marshal. Appreciate that. Couple questions for you. So, does these ordinances, would these, I don't think they do, but just to clarify, would they prohibit the sale of fireworks in the city, or just the use of them?
As of right now, it also prohibits the sale.
So, like if Stater Brothers has a pack of sparklers or something like that, that would be
Sparklers, yes. What is allowable?
the little poppers. or
The
things
poppers
like
are allowable. Poppers and, I can't remember the name off of the little,
the little ones that you throw
you
on the
throw
ground.
on the ground.
Yeah.
Those are still allowable. Sparklers are not allowed.
Are not. Yeah, I saw that. Okay. So our local businesses would have to be notified of that if they have any of those prohibited products. Or
Well,
something.
sparklers
Are already banned.
have already
Okay.
been illegal in Calamasa from a
Okay,
previous
yeah.
ordinance on it.
Okay, so thank you for that. A question about the fire pit one. So would a driveway or a backyard fire be classified as a bonfire or a recreational fire? And what's the technical difference between the two?
So,
The height of it or the width of it?
so right now, our recreational is limited to the size of it, 3 foot width, 2 feet high fire load or flame length on it. Anything beyond that would not be classified as a recreational fire and possibly could be called a bonfire. I know those terms frequently get
Yeah.
used differently. Just talking to everybody, my family calls it a bonfire, but no,
Yeah.
it's a recreational fire, is what I would define it
Mm-hmm.
when we do it on there. When we talk bonfires, we are talking something that is fairly big. I have not experienced any of that in Calamasa so far.
Okay.
Yeah, they're out in the canyon.
And one more thing,
Just
Councilmember Cervantes, again, I'm reading faces. So this is for combustible woods and materials. This does not apply to UL approved devices such as gas barbecues and approved barbecue and recreational devices.
Yeah, okay.
This is for the folks that like to build a fire pit in a 55-gallon drum, you know, next to their garage, or an open bonfire, or something that's unsafe. This just gives us the mechanism to enforce and regulate those activities.
Right.
So our recreational fires are typically the same devices you can buy at your local do-it-yourself hardware stores that they sell, usually with a screen attached to them. That would be classified as a recreational fire. Typically meets the size and dimensions of it. Small little fire ring, still a recreational fire. Your bonfires is going to be something, as a council member or term mayor Hewitt had mentioned, the fires we may see in our off-road areas or in the canyons on there, and those are typically something that wants to get big. It can also be a sanctioned event if they go through the appropriate channels with permits and everything. So it does not necessarily restrict them if you're going to have it. It has to be under a controlled scenario.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
I just want clarifying question. I think you answered most of the questions there. Just following up with the recreational fire, what she was saying, for like a fire pit that's gas and not wood. I know that there's all kinds of different
It's acceptable.
custom ones. Does it have to be, say, if it's gas, that 3 foot by 2 foot? Is that the requirement for that as well, for the gas type
So-
fire pits?
So my understanding, Councilmember Cervantes, is if it is a UL approved over-the-counter device, a propane or butane or a charcoal grill that has the UL stamp on it, it falls under a different classification than building a outside fireplace or fire pit, and the enforcement thereof for those large outside gatherings, some of the bonfires that we've seen, in what used to be open parks and whatnot. I know there's some that exist in some of our residential areas. They're just there. They've been part of the community for 50 years that I'm aware of. We're looking at the enforcement piece to be able to issue a permit if that were to be asked, where the fire marshal's office would go out, do an inspection, issue a permit, look at the enforcement of what's allowable versus not allowable for those big open pit barbecues. This, in my opinion, and I'll go back and clarify it, it's not reasonable to not barbecue within 15 feet of your home. That's just not what we do in California. But those Class A combustible wood fires, where we're throwing pallets and all kinds of other combustible materials, yeah, it's probably not reasonable. So I think we're going to have to clean up the language on that and look for that clarification.
Yeah, I just want to add, you know, the general purpose obviously is, you know, this is a part of a bigger picture of our, you know, the bigger picture here is the community risk reduction that we're trying to implement, and this is one step in that direction. And that's really the purpose of bringing this forward, is to recognize that we are in a very high fire danger area and trying to take steps to allow for enforcement so that, Mr. Rodriguez talked about costs associated with enforcement. Those costs are small compared to fighting fires in our area and the costs that are associated with that for not only for the city, but for our residents as well in terms of insurance or, insurance claims and insurance being canceled, things like that. So that's obviously what we're trying to, that's the bigger picture that what we're trying to achieve here.
Okay, can I get somebody to make a motion?
So we should take each ordinance separately. Also, we found 2 typos in ordinance number 406, and that's on fireworks. So if you look at the title, well, is there a motion to introduce that ordinance?
Yeah, I can take that
Okay,
one.
and there's a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so the first typo is in the title. It should read, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Calamasa, California, amending the Calamasa Municipal Code, Chapter 8.45, regulating fireworks. And the word "to" is deleted. If you go to Section 8.45070, once you get there, if the last sentence says the city may recover, that should say the city may recover all costs and reasonable attorney's fees incurred in enforcing this chapter.
Why not? You got a motion
That's
on
part of the
floor,
motion,
so
right?
vote on it.
as
Okay, so
amended.
go ahead and
All in favor of the
vote.
first?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
So ordinance number 2, is there a motion to adopt?
I'll make the motion. Ordinance number 407, an ordinance of the City of Calamasa, California, adopting amendments to the 2022 edition of the California Fire Code relates to open and outdoor burning and amending Title 15 of the Calamasa Municipal Code regarding the same.
Second.
and
What I would suggest is that we keep it at 5-0, because if the fire chief says it's only 15, you can reduce it on second reading,
correct,
but you won't be able to expand it.
yeah.
So go ahead and adopt or introduce it with the 50-foot on section 307.42 with respect to barbecue grills, at least 50 feet from any structure. And after reflection and research, it may, on second reading, may be 15.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, mayor and council members reading. Reporting on county and regional meetings and conferences. John?
I didn't attend any regional meetings, so that'll conclude my report.
Linda?
Yeah, I attended just a couple. On November 21, attended RTA Executive Committee meeting. This was routine business and a closed session. On November 21, attended the RTA board meeting where they recognized 2 directors leaving RTA, gave a 2024 legislative update, 2024 fiscal year financial audit approved as unmodified and passing by the board. Also, just wanted to note that there are free rides on New Year's with RTA buses from 2:30 p.m. on. And then lastly, there's a T-Now annual holiday luncheon on December 18th at UCR. The city, RTA has what's called T-Now meetings. These are community meetings. People from the community participate, and they give input to RTA on how to best provide service to the communities. On November 22nd, attended the Calamasa tree lighting here. It was fantastic, and we had a great Santa. And then on November 25th, the RCTC meeting was canceled. Thank you.
Wendy?
Yeah, I had a WRCOG meeting today, and they had a recognition for the outgoing executive committee members, which is Supervisor Kevin Jeffries. He's been there for 18 years. He's retiring. They gave him an award, and also our chair, Rita, gosh, I forgot her last name. Do you remember? What? Rogers. Rita Rogers. She will no longer be there, and she has been there for like 18 years. So they were recognizing both of them, and they gave them a little award, and it was a nice little ceremony. And then on the consent calendar, let's see here. They went over some IREN monthly activity updates and TUMF reimbursement agreements with certain cities, the city of Hemet for Warren Road, and Paris, the city of Paris. And let's see, Banning, Sun Lakes Boulevard Extension Project. So they went over, they approved those today. And they had several updates on the IREN program. They're really going to ramp up, and they're authorizing the executive director to execute new on-call professional services with several companies. And let's see, that was about it. Our next meeting will be Friday the Monday, February the 3rd, and January is dark, so we have a whole month before our next meeting, which is good. That's it.
Thank you. Jeff?
Thank you, Mayor. So I attended the RCA meeting today. It was largely also routine business. We adopted the board's 2025 legislative platform, which is largely just advocating for friendly conservation policies and funds and so forth. We received an update on the audit results, which showed that there's nothing problematic with going on with RCA. We also approved the meeting schedule for 2025. RCA is going to meet every month except for the month of July, which will be dark. We also elected Councilmember Kevin Bash to be the RCA chair again, and Supervisor Spiegel to be the vice chair for 2025. And we also had an outgoing ceremony for Kevin Jeffries, Supervisor Jeffries, so received an award for his longstanding contributions to RCA. And that concludes my report.
Well, thank you, sir. I have nothing to report, but I will say for the previous bazillion years, it's been an honor to serve the city and to work with this council. And I want to thank you all. But also, I want the staff you might not be recognized, but you are probably the most fantastic people I've ever met as far as keeping something together and working to develop something. You ought to be proud. That's it. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I just want to thank, first of all, I want to thank staff for their work on the tree lighting a couple weeks ago. Another great job, really well attended. When I first showed up, I was a little concerned because it didn't seem like the turnout was quite as much as it was last year. But then I remembered that there was activity also inside the senior center, and when I walked in here, it was booming. So there were a lot of people inside here participating in the activities. The band was great as always, and so but all the work that goes into all these events that we do, I just want to really thank them and just say job well done. Reminder that the Christmas parade is this Saturday, and our city will be in full force for that as well, participating. Another item that I wanted to just address really quickly, the California State Transportation Agency is considering adoption of the Climate Action Plan for Transportation Infrastructure, or CAPT, and particularly what the region is concerned with is what's called vehicle miles traveled neutrality, or even reduction, and its insertion into guidelines of SB1 funded projects. So what is being proposed currently is to adopt the CAPT into the guidelines that actually fund SB1 and put it into the statute. And if it's in the statute, that's really problematic because now it becomes law. And if it becomes law, it could severely impact not only Calamesa's, but our entire region's ability to get transportation funding for much needed road projects. And for one example of that, even though the project, has had its challenges, The funding for County Line Road came through a local partnership program, a grant through SB1. And so projects like that, you know, may or may not be approved based on this climate action plan. Basically, the push is to push people out of their vehicles and into alternative forms of transportation. Even our region is not equipped for that, and it won't be for many, many years. Even with billions and billions of dollars in investment, it still won't quite get there. It could be part of the solution, but it certainly won't be the only solution. And this is an example, I believe, of the state's goals kind of being kind of counterproductive to each other. So you have, on one hand, you have state housing goals that are really pushing cities to approve housing and get it built fast, way faster than we could ever get any type of transportation, alternative transportation, to address those particular homes. So those policies will, in fact, increase vehicle miles traveled because people are still going to have to commute for work. And if they don't want to expand the freeways, all that will do is it will crowd existing freeways because people will have no other choice. This will obviously have an impact then on pollution, so it actually counteracts what they're trying to accomplish. And not only that, there are societal issues with that as well. So I'm drafting a letter for the mayor's signature to send to the California State Transportation Agency outlining these concerns that we have. So this is a regional concern, but those are the additional concerns that I've found as well. I feel that with these societal issues that it could cause is if parents are having to spend more time on the road, that's less time with their family, which can lead to other issues. So there are a lot of other unintended consequences that could come out of the policy that they're trying to push. It's kind of just a single-minded, single focus on what they're trying to accomplish without thinking about any impacts or other mandates that we have to meet at the exact same time. So these are the concerns that I will be preparing for the mayor's signature. I just wanted to give the council a heads up on that. And lastly, as we head into 2025, I am going to be seeking feedback for future episodes of the podcast. So I want to get feedback from the community, hear what they want me to address, what do they want me to talk about on the show, so that we have some good discussion and get people listening to the program, because I think there's a lot of good content there, but I want to make sure that it's relevant to our community. So I'll be seeking feedback on that as well. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The other thing I forgot to mention, there's going to be openings on the different committees and things like that. The city's looking for applications, and I think we have till Monday. Is that right? Or okay, for applying for even the planning commission. So it's please get involved. You can make the city what it is. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting until December 10th, special meeting at 6 o'clock at the Senior Center.